welcome to the Apollonia Knitting Podcast. I am Jetske Apollonia from the Netherlands, talking to you from Kyoto, Japan. And I want to share with you my knitting whips, my finished objects, and my textile adventures in Kyoto. I've been in Kyoto now for 3 weeks almost. And I'm staying here 10 weeks more. That's because I'm doing an artist residency here for 3 months with my partner. We are both artists and we are getting to know the Japanese culture and the traditional crafts and getting inspired in our work. And I'm mostly a textile artist, and I also love knitting and making garments, sewing. So that's what I want to share with you in this podcast. So welcome to my first episode. Let's just dive in, I think. I'm not sure where to start. It's my first one. A couple weeks before leaving for our residency, I started knitting a vest number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I'm sorry, by the way, just before I started recording, there was a lot of noise outside, so I think they are mowing some lawns or cutting some trees or something. I'm sorry, I hope is not too noticeable. If so, I hope you'll deal with it. But and I finished my vest I think last week. I haven't blocked it yet, but I can show you. So this is it. Yeah, I've knitted it with this cotton from Hobby, which I've bought online. I'm not sure how I'm gonna show you this. And I think it's about an Aran weight. It recommends like 4 or 5 needle size, millimeters, needle size. And I started it. I thought, it would be such a good knitting project for on the train. No, for on the flight. But I turned out not to be knitting anything on the flight because I was feeling quite travel sick, and I just wanted to focus on that and also trying to get some sleep because it was a long flight and it was in the night. So no knitting on the flight, but I did finish it while I was here. And I knitted it in cotton because I wanted to be able to wear it in the super humid Kyoto summer weather. I'm not sure if I will be able to because it's in the end of May and already it's very humid and warm. It's like around 30 degrees almost every day. Today's it's a cast over day and it's the air is like damp. So it's quite warm actually because it's a bit like thicker cotton, and I actually like it the best when wearing it over a t-shirt. So that has been just too warm. I'll show you maybe how it wears. And I decided when I was here, I wanted to add some Japanese in there, which I did with the little stripes you might have noticed. I added some stripes in the ribbing, which the yarn from that I got from a Japanese spinning shop. It's hand spun made by the people of the shop, I think. I'm not sure what the shop is called right now. Hinuhoichu? That's bad. I'll just put it on the screen. It's such a beautiful shop. If you like spinning, you should really go there if you visit Kyoto. It's just a shop full of roving and unwoven fiber and all kinds of colors. Also undyed yarns, undyed fibers, locks, everything you can think of. And I bought, like I said, I bought some handspun from them, which I can maybe show you some of. They sell their handspun in packages with like small skeins, and I bought one of the packages. I think it was around 5,000 yen, so I think it was around 25 euros. And I used this small skein for this. I, of course, caked it up before using, but for the stripes and the ribbing. And it's a very beautiful yarn. I'm not sure what it is. If it's wool, I think it's wool. But it's yellow with purple, a little bit of purple in there. And I have a lot left, which is really cool because I used it everywhere. I did 2 rounds of the yellow yarn for this stripe, and the yarn is a lot thinner than the red yarn I've used. But yeah, it worked out really well, I think. And I made some mistakes, which you will see if you keep following me. I make mistakes in almost everything I make, but I'm okay with that, you know? I like the imperfect knitting, and I embrace the mistakes. So, for example, when I did the middle decrease, I'm not sure what it's called right now, the middle decrease, the first couple of rows, I did it wrong. So it's a little wonky, but after that I looked it up again and I saw what I did wrong, which I don't remember now, but I ended on a good row, which I like, because now it seems a little bit neater, because on the top it's better than on the bottom. And the bottom ribbing, I of course did first than the other ribbing, because you knit it top down. So you knit it top down, and then you end with the ribbing of the body, and then you pick up stitches for the neck and the armholes. And I knitted it on a needle size 5, the body, but so I sized down for the ribbing to a needle size 4. But I didn't really like the look of that. It's a little wonky, it's a little bit too big, it's not that cinched in. So I decided to switch to a needle size 3 for my other ribbing, and I liked it a lot better. I think that suits the pattern best. I also did like some small other modifications. For example, the pattern calls for an Italian bind-off, which I've never done before. And I tried doing it, I think with the body, and I just didn't like the look of it, and I just didn't like doing it, and I thought, I'm just going to cast off normally. So I did that, and I think it's a little bit wonky, like especially, it's a bit gapey over here. You know, that's life, I don't mind. Also the knitting is not perfect, but like what I said, I like imperfect knitting. You know, it's made by my own 2 hands. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm really happy with it. And I really like the stripes. My sibling said, it's your Wildcat sweater. And I really like that too. It's like a more sporty look, you know, with the Wildcats from High School Musical, the sports team from that film. So now I call it my Wildcats vest. Which is cute. More sporty sports. I was thinking of doing some kind of duplicate stitch to bring this whole sports theme together, like a little nod to that. I was thinking of maybe some kind of like number on the back, or like some small detail here, but I haven't decided on what I would do, because I wouldn't like to just do a number. That wouldn't feel like me, because I would usually wouldn't wear any sportswear. That's not really my vibe. So I would like to maybe do something like that, but also make it more mine, so more whimsical or something. But I haven't thought of the thing. So maybe it won't happen because I like it the way it is. And like I said, I still have to block it. I think it might help getting a little bit less wonky. You know, I think it might help with the armholes a little bit. They fold in on themselves a little, you know. And I've bought some Eucalan, some wool wash at a yarn store in Kyoto, Walnut. Which, you know, this isn't wool, but I think this might be wool, so I think I will still use this just to use something. I still have to do that, so I'm curious what will happen. But I'm also a little bit nervous what will happen, because I've measured my finished object after I finished it, and it's a lot wider than it should have been, considering the size I made. Which I don't have the exact numbers with me right now. I'll just check my Ravelry. Yeah, I didn't do a gauge watch for this, so I measured my gauge afterwards because I thought, why not? My stitch gauge turned out a bit too small. The pattern called for an 18 stitch gauge for 10 centimeter, and mine was 16 stitches. But I'm glad I didn't change anything, because I wouldn't want it to be more oversized. I think the oversized look right now is fine. But it's, well, like I said, it's still quite a bit bigger than the pattern wanted. Let's see. The finished measurements, the length is 57 centimeters from like the center neck to the center back to the back down. I'm not sure. And the width is like around 110 centimeters in circumference, which is 9 centimeters bigger than the pattern. Which doesn't make sense, because my stitch gauge was smaller than the pattern. So it should have turned out smaller, right? I think it's just because of the cotton. I think cotton is so stretchy that, yeah, it's just stretched out a lot. And that's why I've been a little bit hesitant about blocking, because I'm kind of scared that it will stretch out more, and I wouldn't want that, but I will have to wash it sometime, so it's gonna happen. So that's my vest number 9, my first finished object here in Kyoto, which we'll see if I get to wear it here, but it was really fun to make. And a really fun project, also leading up to our trip, because it was quite a stressful time preparing the last couple of weeks before leaving. So it was really good stress relief and just a focus for me to just go knit in the evenings. So that was really nice. I'm glad. And I'm also glad I took it with me. It's cute. Okay. These were my first yarn acquisitions. I'm dropping everything, but I've bought some other yarns, because, you know, I'm going to Japan, I want to use some Noro yarn. Of course, that makes sense. So I went looking for a Noro yarn, but it was quite hard to find Noro yarn here in Kyoto. There's not that much yarn stores. I'm discovering more and more while I'm here, just stores with a little bit of yarn. Like yesterday I came across a fabric shop which also has a little bit of yarn, which they had a good selection, interesting collection, so but there's not a lot of them. And there's not a yarn shop with like a lot of Noro yarn, and that's really sad because I was really looking forward to buying Noro and using Noro, but I found a little bit. I went to the Aeon Mall in Gojo, and that's in the west of Kyoto, like way out of the city center. And there's like a textile craft store. It's not that big, but they had a small selection of Noro, which was really fun. And I went there with my partner. I was like, do you want to go with me? Because I asked him if he would like me knitting something for him while we're here. So he got to choose his yarn for the project I'm making for him, which we did. We bought. So first, we bought Noro. I've looked it up, and it seems like this Noro line is only sold in Japan, because on Ravelry it's like it has a few entries of people who have it in their stash, but I couldn't really find what it was. So I think it was that, and if I'm right, I think it's Noro. Oh, let's see, Noro Tsugi. I'm thinking. Noro Tsumugi. Ah, almost. And we got through 3 balls of this, and also 3 balls of this Cotton Ivy, which is the house brand of this store we went to, which is called Yuzawaya. Yeah, Yuzawaya. And it's this really fun cotton blend with all kinds of color strands in there. I'm not sure if you can see, but it's really fun. It turned out to be polyester in there. I think the strands are polyester, which is sad. I didn't check when I was in the store. I'm not a huge fan of plastic yarns, but you know, it's cotton. I think it feels good. I think it will be okay. And the Noro is a mix of silk, cotton, and rayon. But it says on Ravelry that this is a worsted weight, which it might be, but you know, Noro is, I think, kind of famous for their yarns that are, some pieces are like really thick and then it gets a little thinner, and it has this, yeah, this up and down effect, which I like, but it has to be your thing. And I was especially curious for the Noro, like a color changing yarn, of course, which they are famous for, and variegated yarns. But there wasn't a lot of choice in the store we went to. There were like a couple choices, and my partner wasn't really feeling the colors, and it was a little bit nervous about, if he would like wearing those colors, which, you know, I get. And he really liked, there was a line of this with an all like indigo dyed like different kinds of Noros, and he really liked them. He really likes to wear this kind of color blue, which I'm not a blue wearer, so for me it was like, can I just work with the color changing yarn, please? So we made a compromise. I just did another round around the shop, and I noticed this, and because of the little colorful specs, I thought, yeah, I would like to work with this. So I proposed, let's do striped garment. Up front I made a Ravelry board with like some ideas of patterns I could make for him, and like some styles, raglan, and then I asked him to choose his favorites, which he did, and so we had 4 patterns or so in mind when we went to the store, just to keep our eyes out for. And the 2 patterns we liked for this yarn were the Loopy Stripe Cardigan and the Stockinette by Tweedy Sheep. and I started making a gauge watch with needle size 5 again. It's my favorite needle size because it's a little bit more big. I like using with bigger needle size with the drapey fabric, but also because it's a bit smaller, faster to work up, but also because it's just the best needle I have. It's from this specific brand, which I don't know the name of sadly, which I bought at my local yarn store, Boutique Peridot in Breda in the Netherlands. And she usually recommended this brand of needle to me, and I decided to try it, and it's really good because of the cord is really flexible and thin, and I really enjoy that. My other needles are from Knit Pro, and the cords they use are just way more stiff and difficult to work magic loop with. So I've really enjoyed using that. I'm sorry I can't remember the brand, but that's why I'm using needle size 5 a lot. This is the gauge watch I've made. I made 2 by 2 rounds of stripes, and I started with holding the cotton ivy, the white yarn single, and I did 2 stripes of that, and I did 2 stripes holding it double, just to see, because it was a lot thinner than the Noro yarn, just to see what would happen with that. And I do like holding it double. I enjoy the effect better. It was a quite wholly, like a bit too see-through when holding it single. So I decided to hold it double. And we bought enough yarn to maybe make the loopy stripe cardigan, but I started doubting if that would be the pattern to make somehow. I also was really feeling a simple pattern and just doing around, no purling. I don't know, that's just what I felt like. And the cardigan, of course, you have to work back and forth. So I talked more with my boyfriend about it, and he said, yeah, let's do the other one. I like that one. It was his favorite from the beginning, and he was a little bit doubtful about the model, like the specific model with the cinched in waist and the big arms of the loopy cardigan. So it was just, yeah, let's do the other one. And then I knit a gauge watch, and it was the exact gauge I needed for the stockinette tee. So it just was meant to be that one. So I am knitting a stockinette tee. I'm going to try it on for you. I'm just working still on the raglan increases now. Trying to make a tee inspired by the Kamo River, which it's really near our residence here, and it's a really beautiful place. Also very special to some, my partner especially, because he really likes working with stones in his artworks, and which he sources from rivers like this kind of place. And there's also a river crossing with stepping stones here, which is also really similar to this stepping stone crossing near his house, the house where he grew up. So it's a special place for him, and we just really love being by the river. It's just a beautiful spot, one of the few nature spots here in Kyoto. There's a lot of beautiful gardens and temples here, but this is like more a public park vibe, which you really enjoy, and there's water to be around and to stick your feet in when it's really hot, which is really convenient and cooling. So I decided to make his Kamo tee. I have quite some other things to talk about, which I bought or found here, which I'm doing, some crafty things, but I have been talking for quite a while and my camera cut off, like you noticed, so I'm not sure why. Maybe it's overheating. It's a little bit warm in here. So maybe I will just do another episode next week. What about that? What about that? Thank you so much. If you're watching this, watching my first episode, I hope the sound is doing okay, my camera is doing okay. I had a lot of fun talking to you today, and I'll share with you more soon. See you. Bye bye.